So Norman Raad, always a pleasure to talk to you and to have a conversation and to get your insights. And today I want to ask you about brokers and what makes a dynamic broker in this particular market, the skill that is required to bridge the gap.
So Craig, nice chat. And so brokers there's no science in being a broker. It's tenacity, it's resilience, it's hard working, it's in making the telephone calls. I can see in our office, when the brokers are successful, it hasn't happened because of the last 2-3 weeks. It's been relentless phoning, and they start filtering through. So, the brokers that are successful are the ones that are not giving up. So I keep saying 90% of the time you're going to get a rejection or someone's going to say no. And once you start moving beyond that and banking the people that say yes, you start forgetting about all the no's. But if you let the no's get to you, and you don't focus on the positivity and the yeses that you've received and the concluded sales that you get, then you're going to not be a successful broker.
So what you're saying is ultimately 10 no's bleed into one yes.
If you're making the calls.
If you're
consistently making the telephone calls.
So Norman, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I mean, you're a living legend broker, and I call you that because you epitomize the rituals and the laws of broking, okay? You live that life. How many calls should a broker be making every day?
Yes, I am nothing more than a broker, I can promise you that. Every day I come to work and I make those phone calls. Any normal broker that is not making at least 25 phone calls a day to potentially their existing clients. Their existing clients. If they've built up a relationship, then they're not in the space. But you need to be making between 20 and 40 phone calls a day.
Unbelievable. And the ritual of connecting and meeting face to face, is that still as important as it ever was? Should we be making the calls, or should we be making the calls to meet? How do you approach the engagement?
So the engagement takes a cold call to building trust. So the minute you're in front of someone, there becomes changes from a cold call to a relationship.
Rapport.
And that's where you need to start building your relationship with people. But you can't do it over the telephone.
Yes. And I mean, often you have found, and we see strokes of genius happen, but you almost wish you could record these strokes of genius when they happen, because some of them are unexplainable, in the sense that things fall into the pocket because of certain things that happened before the call. So one can't discount any of the behavioral activities that are required to set up the call or to set up where the ball's going to drop. And I see you do this all the time.
No, it's not about me, but every telephone call is information. So you make the telephone call, whether the buyer or the seller is buying or selling, they're going to reveal information to you. And it could be another buyer or another seller, and they could be giving you market information about values. So that phone call doesn't necessarily need to be a sale. You need to be making those phone calls. You need to be understanding where the market is. You're gathering information. You're building rapport with them. You're setting up meetings to go and see them. Eventually, when things do happen, you think it's luck. But you create your own luck. And it's that relentless, continuous relationship building, accepting no most of the time, and eventually things fall, as you say, in your lap and happen.
Yes. And of course, I mean, we see this time and time again, that if you follow the process and you conduct yourself in the way that the best of practice showcases, you will get luckier.
So our platform allows that to happen. Sometimes you can get too involved in the sales process and kill a deal. Our process allows the deal to happen. Let the buyers bid what they would like to bid. Let the sellers accept what they're willing to take. And let them almost just guide them into the right direction.
So are we in the information game, or are we in the nurturing game?
We're in both. We're in the information game to give them direction to where they want to play and how they'd like to transact. But most certainly, you're building a relationship. You get in trust. You've got a rapport.
I mean, sellers and buyers are informed today. So it's not as it used to be where you could convince. I mean, there is an element of convincing if the trust is there.
So if you make a phone call to someone that you trust, that's speed. Things will happen quickly.
Yeah.
If they're not aware of it at the particular moment in time, then you make them aware of it and you let them understand where the value is.
Yeah.
That is what broker's job is to do.
Is there still a situation that before a decision is made that the broker plays that high-level part in that process, or is the decision solely the buyer or the seller in today's world?
I think in today's world, the buyers know what they're looking for.
Yes.
They're very astute and well informed with the whole market. And I think the sellers, they're a little bit unrealistic, but then they know, you don't know, they know what they're willing to accept. They know the cash flow situation, they know what they think they need to exit at. So you're playing a lesser role, but you're playing a greater role with information. Give them as much as possible to give them a well-informed decision to make, and then you just need to guide them into the right direction and make sure that they trust and believe that you're doing this with integrity.
Is there anything on the list coming up in the near future that you endeavour to be hot property, good property that will sell? Where should buyers be right now?
We've received a number of fuel stations that are going to be coming for sale, and I think the reason being is there's a bit of uncertainty with the regulation with regards to fuel, how that's going to play out, and maybe the sellers or the property owners are saying, you know what, they've enjoyed a good run with this property, and maybe it's time for them to cash in, and obviously fuel stations are the most sought after properties in the country at the moment, the property, and I think those are going to be highlighted in our marketing campaign, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of participation.
Norman Raad, CEO of Broll Auction and Sales. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to talk to you, Norman, as usual.
Thank you, Craig.